Hi there, everyone. It's Siobhan and I today. Gail, interestingly enough, Gail and Leslyn are both in Arizona.
Ooh.
Uh, yeah, isn't that fascinating? Leslyn is teaching a course in Phoenix for Gunter. So she's teaching a group of lymphedema therapists. And Gail is visiting with old friends. And the last that I heard, she was Um, she was I'm sorry, someone just handed me a note. No continuity at this point. She had been to Sedona. She sent me a picture of her in Sedona, and she is on her way to Jerome. And so anyway, she's visiting with friends there. So we figured, first of all, welcome. It's so good to see you guys. Isn't it fun to have this? We meet every week at this time. So good.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Irene. Irene, all the way from New Zealand. All right. And all right, Siobhan, we're going to talk about low carb Denver. You are on, my friend.
Yeah, so we're going to be giving a presentation at Low Carb Denver talking about lipedema. So that's going to cover various aspects. Number one, what it is, because that's always helpful information for people not acquainted. Number two is research showing that ketogenic diets are useful, and probably some other stuff in that vein as well in terms of swelling, stuff like that. And then I'll specifically be covering a few things, one of which is the potential mechanisms behind why keto is helpful for a lot of people. And I think that's important for people to understand both on the patient side and on the physician side, because it can really help with troubleshooting. Like, let's say someone goes on keto and they're not quite getting the results they expected. If you kind of understand what it's supposed to be influencing, then you can go through and see, like, okay, what may be interfering with this. I'll also be sharing some insights that we got from the initial data from the Voices of Lipedema project. So that'll also be good. It's mostly kind of sharing some important things that everybody should know about. Um, so won't be diving full in, but you can watch the presentation that Leslyn and I did for Learn if you want more of that data. And then I may also be sharing something else, but I can't comment on it yet.
That's what I love working about Siobhan. It's a mystery. And always like you go twists and turns and you find out all this stuff. Well, that's what low carb Denver is going to be great, and you'll all get a chance. Can people watch low carb Denver? They can,
Yeah,
right?
I believe there are virtual tickets. Let me double check here.
We'll let you
Um,
guys know. And at the very least, we can, what we can do is we can do a rehearsal of your presentation at low carb Denver, and then we can share it with everyone. How about that?
yeah, sounds good to me. Assuming I have it done in time for the rehearsal.
You will.
But the other cool thing about Low Carb Denver is that it is CME accredited. So if your doctor's in the Denver area or likes to go skiing, you can always say, hey, there's this conference going on that you might want to check out, and refer them there so that they can get a little bit more up to date information.
Mary is asking a great question, and I'm putting it up here. Is it okay to eat small amounts of carbs when prescribed by your PCP? I'm just getting over rotavirus. Um, I'm going to say something very not medical, but from personal experience. When I had a bad virus and they told me to eat carbs, it was not a good avenue. That they put me on the brat diet. Um, brat, bananas,
Spread, rice, applesauce, and something?
toast.
Toast.
Yeah, it was bananas, rice, applesauce, toast.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think that's right. I was very, 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 very sick at the time, and the going and I remember saying to my PCP, I can't eat carbs. I knew back then, this was before keto. I'm like, carbs just don't work for me. Anyway, I finally took myself off of it. But so I'm going to say again, before turning it over to Siobhan, who will give you a much better answer than mine. you gotta, you gotta, you've gotta ask and listen to your body. I've had some new insights recently, and I'll share them in a little bit. But oh my God, it was so helpful. All right, Siobhan, you answer that question.
So for one, like obviously I don't want to get in the middle of advice from your doctor. You should always talk to them about that, especially if you have concerns. But in situations like this, the number one thing is just to ask them where that advice is coming from. Why are you recommending this? Is there specific benefits that that's going to net you? And then also compare it against your own history as well. So do you have a history of those things not working for you? Because if so, then that would be another thing to talk to them about. I really don't think this is a good idea. I think this might make me feel worse. And then, yeah, I would mostly be curious about where that advice comes from because, like, there's plenty of research at this point that people do become naturally more insulin resistant when they're sick. It's part of the immune response, it's a healthy aspect of it. It helps orchestrate a bunch of very helpful things. But that does also mean that you can become less tolerant to glucose and especially highly refined forms of glucose. So, yeah, I would just want to talk to them and kind of get their perspective and hash it out, bring up your own concerns and see what where it goes pretty much.
I would also say that you can buy crackers that are gluten free and low carb.
Yeah, my boyfriend actually just made fathead dough and then turned them into crackers.
Mhm.
So, if it's just like easy to digest stuff, then there's plenty of different options and then hopefully you can find something that will work for your specific circumstance and then also help your body as you're recovering from that. And just as another comment, I hope you get well soon.
Oh yeah, yeah. Feel better. That virus. I was going to say a swear word. That virus sucks. That's what I was going to say, but I'm not going to say that. But oh my God, when I had it, oh, I was throwing up a storm. So please take care of yourself and listen to your body.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is you can talk to your doctor about it and then give it a try and then see how it goes and then talk to them and say this did work, this didn't work, and go from there. And then in the future, if you're in that position again, you have that information to say that didn't really work for me, so I want to try something else.
Yeah, and please, I'm gonna oops, wait. Oh, how sweet. Zelda says she loves us. Thank you, Zelda. Um, Vivian says my smile is back. You must be feeling better. Um, so I want to talk about this n equals one. So I've been sick, really sick, really, really sick, 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 in and out of the hospital for what looks like a truncal edema. It looks like my lymphedema, which I thought had nested very, sort of gently in my limbs, is now in my trunk. And the issue with that is that my abdomen is distended, which means I look like I'm 9 months pregnant. And but not my full belly, my upper half, close under my ribs, which is interesting. But as I'm learning more about the anatomy, it's making sense. So it's a long story. I'm going to do a webinar on it as soon as I figure it all out. But the bottom line is I had to do a test. So Siobhan and Kelly, who most of you have, I mean, if everyone knows Leslyn, and Kelly is Kelly Bell has truncal edema. So they've been doing some work on it because forget, lipedema is well known compared to truncal edema. I mean, there's one doctor in all of the world in the University of Pennsylvania, and he works with a surgeon. So, two doctors. Anyway, this whole thing is crazy. But I had to do a test. They've been doing a lot of testing at the hospital. And and what happened is Kelly and Leslyn both said you have to eat a lot of fat before you take the test. So, increase your butter, increase, your, olive oil, um, make sure you have uh, heavy whipping cream. So I did this thing for several days and it got so bad. Oh my God, I was grumpy. I was yelling at people. I was in a miserable mood. I felt horrible. And so it's sort of like, how much do you need to listen to your body? It's like a two by four. And so, I, so the test was on Tuesday. I did everything that needed to be done at the hospital, came home and was like on the ledge. I can't remember who talked me off the ledge. I think it was Leslyn, actually. I think I called Leslyn and said, "This is it. I can't do another moment." And she's like, "All right, so what can I do?" So she gave me a couple of pieces of advice. And as I started to implement it, it started to get better. Now it's not gone, but it's this thing about managing it. And so stay tuned. There'll be more, but my bottom line message is you have to listen to your body, because I was saying the only thing that works is fasting for me. And the doctor that I saw, the specialist, he's like, "Oh no, don't fast. You can't fast." I'm like, he doesn't know my body. So I've been intermittent fasting, which I do anyway, and modulating, and I'm feeling I'm feeling better. So thank you. I am feeling better. Um who is the pen doctor for truncal edema? Um Dr. Itkin is a radiologist. His name is Max Itkin. He is a specialist and he images truncal edema. And they've done some really groundbreaking work. There's a wonderful talk he gave for Learn on the Learn website. Um, with him is a doc named Stephen Bouchard, who is a plastic surgeon, a microsurgeon, who together they've done some interventions. I only know of one, to be honest. I think there's more, but I know personally of one where they went in and repaired someone's trunk because of damage from. Uh, she had been diagnosed with cancer as a young child, and she was like 9 or something. And she ended up with damage to her truncal lymphatic system from a pick. They put picks in for chemotherapy.
Mm.
And so that was apparently what caused the damage. I'm thinking that the damage for me happened because I had a number of surgical procedures because I thought they were a good idea at the time. God, if I could go back and change it. So I think because I had lost so much weight, I had a lot of what they call skin redundancy. So I had a number of cosmetic procedures to help with that. Like, they removed the apron, and it's called a peniculectomy. Anyway, it's a whole other story. But the bottom line is surgery is not ever to be done lightly.
Mm.
Never, never, never to be done lightly. because here I am years later having impact. Hi, Marcia and Kathy. Kathy, you put I don't know what you're saying because I don't know what the
So Kathy is saying alternate fasting and feasting. Don't eat under your basal metabolic rate and calories ever. So don't undereat for what your body needs. And then don't go under the total daily energy expenditure after fasting. So basically, if you're going to fast, make sure that you refeed appropriately so that your metabolism doesn't slow down,
see
which
why
is
I
good
hired
advice.
She knows all the letters.
Yeah, so this is something that Megan Ramos talks about, and essentially it's just, there are safe ways to fast, but the eating is just as important as the fasting. So if you are going to be doing that, make sure you're not accidentally under eating as well, which is good advice. And yeah, under eating, common for us, may lead to slower metabolism. Yep.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I've been fasting for a long time, years. I've been, I was doing long fasts and then I started to do alternate day fasts and it all backfired. It's just been a crazy mess. But one thing we need to acknowledge is today is Friday the 13th.
I like Friday the 13th.
Okay, tell us
Does that
why.
make me weird? I don't know. It's just a feeling I get. It's just a special day. I've never actually had anything go wrong on Friday the 13th, knock on wood. And it's always just been nice. I don't know. Maybe Friday the 13th is lucky in some cultures and I'm just picking up on it.
Yeah. And also you are unique in many ways.
It's one way to put it.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
definitely are.
I also have something to share, actually, not related to Friday the 13th, but about learning about my own body. Because as we've been working on all these research projects and learning from people in the community and the published research and stuff, one thing that has come up is that psychological stress can worsen lipedema symptoms. And
Yes.
it's like, oh, I believe that that's true. That would make sense, but I've never experienced it. Well, recently I went through a very stressful debacle. No one was hurt. It was just plans not really falling apart, but not going as intended, and a lot of uncertainty. And when I got the news that a trip that had been planned might need to be indefinitely delayed, essentially, with a lot of background behind that, like 3 years of background. I went into my lymphatic appointment the next day and she started working on me and she was like, "Did something happen?" And I was like, "Well, blah, 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 all this stuff." She's like, "You are really swollen." Just like, "Oh, okay." So we ended up taking it lightly that session, but it does apparently happen to me too because nothing else had changed over that time. Like I wasn't emotional eating that would have impacted it. I wasn't really sleeping worse at that point, although I did start sleeping poorly later. So yes, psychological stress can impact. And especially when it starts impacting sleep and eating, because I started accidentally under eating because I was so upset. Like when I ate, I would get nauseous because I was so anxious. And then because I was under eating, I wasn't sleeping well. And then it got really, really bad. So you can see I am in compression right now because uh yeah, my legs hurt.
Yeah.
And my arms hurt.
It's a domino effect. Yeah, it's true. It's like there's so many things that affect us.
Yeah. So
Which is why we show up and keep talking about it. Like,
yeah.
really, that's why we keep talking about what it is so that you guys, as we learn together.
Yeah. And once I realized the effect it was having, especially with regards to sleep, I pre-made my meals for the day, had it waiting in the fridge, and then I made sure, set a timer, go eat 3 times a day, and I'm sleeping much better now. and it is resolving, but it'll probably take a little bit. But it's another case of like, make sure you're actually paying attention and listening to your body, because, man, that level of stress was more than it could handle.
Yeah, Marcia says the same thing. Marcia's saying that she had a flare this week as a result of stress, and that when she went in to see her MLD therapist, she was like, "What?" She was shocked.
Yeah.
Probably, but that's the thing. We fluctuate like that, which is crazy. But our bodies do this thing. So I want to do one more announcement. This is a save the date. What's new and coming up with lipedema is oh my god. Did you see what Julie said?
Yeah, I was just reading that.
Siobhan had to speak today out of default. That's because it's only you and me. Because Gail isn't here taking up so much talk time, which she usually does. Siobhan has to speak today out of default. I'm glad, because she is a hoot, isn't she? Oh
Well,
my
thank
god,
you for
just
that, Julie.
so amazing. Just so amazing. Oh yeah, Kathy says hormones, hormones, hormones. Yeah.
Mhm.
Under stress, that's what's making our bodies do what it does. I was in the middle of making an announcement. Let me make an announcement. We're having an event come up. We usually have our keto symposium, but we're going to have an event where the community is going to be very involved, because there's so much good um, exploration being done in the community. And it's called Kind Keto for Lipedema and Lymphedema. I think it was Gail who came up with that. Didn't
It
we?
was Gail.
Didn't, because we didn't remember who came up with
We
heart.
have it in our notes that it was Gail, so
All
it
right.
was Gail.
So it was Gail. Um uh so save the dates. I should put the dates here. How can I do that? Give me a second. The dates.
Yeah, you look for that. And then Mary asked, "What is fathead dough?" It's like a dough made out of what is it? It's like cheese, butter, and almond flour, I think. Although I think you can also use pork rind crumbs instead of almond flour. But yeah, it's good. It's very versatile. I have made it a lot with my boyfriend because we used to make like a keto pizza with it as the crust. He'll make crackers out of it. I've also made like calzones, danishes, all sorts of stuff. If you just look up fathead dough recipe, you'll come across it, and then you can alter it per your preferences.
Okay, here are the dates. I'm just putting them there. This is a save the date. Kind Keto for Lipedema and Lymphedema, March 31st, April 1st, and 2nd. And it is going to be a little different than what we've done in the past, for a number of reasons. But we're going to have a lot of interaction, a lot of opportunity for you to start and end with clear direction for yourself in terms of keto. So I think that's really good.
Yeah, I've been in the keto space for, geez, over 6 years now, and it can be very overwhelming and confusing. There's always debate over a bunch of different things, and it usually just comes down to it. There are some general guiding principles, and then there's a lot of personalization for the individual.
Yes.
So we'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about why keto for lipedema and lymphedema, and a bunch of different topics for helping people get started, helping just to think about it and conceptualize it, because diet is a big thing. It's a big
Huge,
part of people's lives.
huge. So I want to go back, because this is the thing, and I'm just understanding it. I'm not even understanding it. I'm beginning to see how much nutrition is related to the lymphatic system, because everything has been affected by what I'm eating or what I'm not eating. And this whole thing of seeing that when I eat heavy fat, it gets worse. The swelling gets worse. Shouldn't do that. But in my body, it makes something called chyle, and it gets digested in the small intestine. That's a whole workshop. I'm going to get Siobhan on this. And you're going to help me with this.
Sure. Yeah, and the main thing is that does make sense because the fat that you eat has to be processed by the lymphatics. So if you're having this issue with the central lymphatics, which is where it all it comes out like basically right up here, then I could see how you might accidentally overwhelm the lymphatic system in that situation, at least as it stands right now.
Well, that's what happened. I have an overwhelmed lymphatic system, or they call it overproduction of lymph, which
Mm-hmm.
is really overproduction of chyle, which is the component in the lymphatic fluid. I'm still learning. Siobhan, by the time we get to the time when we're doing a webinar on this, we'll have it down.
Yeah, there's a ton to learn about the lymphatics, and it's so complicated and often overlooked, which is why I'm really glad that I started talking to Leslyn because I read her book, which is the best information I found on the lymphatics so far, and then it's like, oh, this is super cool.
Yeah, it really is. So I'm going to say again, this is a save the date. Kind keto for lipedema and lymphedema. It'll be a 3-day, similar to what we did in October, where there's a lot of interaction and less talks. We tried to jam too much in October, so one of the things we walked away with is more of a balance, and that's my theme for the year. My word for 2023 was balance. And then Leslyn said, oh no, what you mean is homeostasis. So my word, my word for for me, I keep it simple. Homeostasis. Hold on a minute. I'm gonna read you the definition. The tendency towards a relatively stable equilibrium between interdependent elements, especially as maintained by physiological processes. God bless Leslyn. She has a brain that is amazing. But anyway, so that's my word for the year, homeostasis. I want to get my body. Oh, speaking of which, one last announcement. So Monday we're starting Body Peace. So, dear friend of mine and neighbor, but we live in the same neighborhood, Nina Manelson, came and gave a talk at October's event that everybody loved. It was fabulous. She's a body peace coach. Now, you may be asking, what is a body peace coach? Well, most of us are at war with our bodies. I'm sure you know this. I'm not the only one, right?
Definitely not.
I'm not the only one that has had this, because oftentimes we read the poem about befriending your body. So here, I'm going to put this link in the chat. Give me a second. Okay, this should work. I think. Here it is. This is pretty easy. Why isn't it taking? Here, there it is. There it is. Here it is. So learn.lipedema-simplified.org/body peace/dash self-care. So on Monday, we're starting a 6-week special interest group, but it's 2 for the price of 1. We're going to do a CSIG like we do with coaching sessions and Q&A around self-care, but in addition, we're doing 4 weeks with Nina on body peace. She has a body peace map that she works with people on moving from body hatred and body shame into body acceptance, body peace. It's really what it is. It's like, how do you befriend your body? So I'll be there. Yeah, thank you, Liz. Liz says I'm at war daily with my body and no one is winning. Yep, that's what it's like. So I've actually been in a number of Nina's groups and they've helped me so much that I'm bringing her into the community. I just think it's an important piece.
Yeah, I really appreciate her perspective and the way she talks about it because, like, I've been exposed to a lot of body love stuff where it's like, oh, you have to give yourself affirmations and look in a mirror and tell yourself how beautiful you are. And that doesn't match with the type of person that I am. Like, I just immediately start rejecting it. Like, nope, not buying it. But she gives a different perspective, and just to clarify, there's nothing wrong with affirmations or anything like that. It's just, again, individualized. Different things work for different people, so she gives that different perspective and a different way to think about it, which can be really helpful.
Yeah, and what she does, and that this is something that we have been doing as well, is cultivating a relationship with your body. I've been in process forever, like really over 70 years. I've been working on this one, and and it it does. There is movement. Anyway, we'd love you to join us. There's the link. If you're a member of Tribe, make sure you email me because you get this is already discounted. We took $100 off because it's two for the price of one. But if you're a Tribe member, you get a deeper discount. So make sure you email me. I've sent out a couple of emails on it. So just check and the link for the Tribe members is there with the discount. So um I think that's it. I'm just looking to see if there's anything we need to. It's not that we're at war, not a declared one anyway. We are spiritual beings. This is great. Having a physical experience. Yeah, I believe that. Thank you, Kathy. Okie dokie. Siobhan, why don't you wrap us up? What's left to say goodbye?
I'm not good at outros, which is why I usually leave them to Leslyn and Gail.
All right.
But yeah, we'll see you next week, and any updates we'll be sure to share with you. Yeah, that's my type of outro. We'll see you
Yeah,
next week, and
but
we'll keep
you
you
did
updated.
a great outro. Isn't she great? Let's hear it for Siobhan. We love her. Yay! I'm happy with that. Have a
All
great
right,
weekend.
enjoy your weekend, guys.